That was a very powerful anthem, quite emotional. You're welcome to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Cyrus, and this is Tuntum Network in Accra, Ghana. Well, today we are jumping straight into the upcoming elections in South Africa, one of my favorite countries in all of Africa. Greetings to you in Tatele Chalaba. I hope you get to watch this episode. And without much ado, let's jump right into it. So the elections are scheduled for 29th of this month. And for those who don't know, South Africa's electoral process doesn't provide a direct election for the presidential candidate. Instead, the political party which wins the highest number of seats in their National Assembly, which is actually their parliament, elects a leader who then becomes the president of South Africa. That's how it works over there. And a similar electoral process is now adopted in Togo in West Africa just 1 month ago, for your information. It's totally unlike what's done in majority of African countries, like Ghana, for instance, where we vote for members of parliament and also vote for the president. And so in Ghana, you may win elections as president and your party may not have the majority of seats in parliament. So let's look at what's at stake in these elections in South Africa. You have one political party that has been in control since independence in South Africa in 1994, in the ANC party, which many aren't happy with, looking at the stagnation of South Africa's economy, looking at the challenges with their energy sector, for instance, and unemployment rates. They used to be the biggest economy in Africa, and then there was a time they were not. And this year, ladies and gentlemen, IMF just published a new list of the top 10 largest economies in Africa in just April of this year, 22nd of April actually, and South Africa has come back atop again with $373 billion of GDP, leading Egypt, Algeria, and in fourth place, Nigeria. Now, on the other hand, is a raving lion in the person of Julius Malema of the EFF party coming in strong with hopes of forming a coalition of parties with the other minority parties to topple the current government of South Africa, which is the ANC. And many polls, ladies and gentlemen, suggest that it's super likely that the EFF wins in this year's election. And when that happens, ladies and gentlemen, yours truly, Julius Malema, will succeed Cyril Ramaphosa as president of South Africa. Do you want this to happen? Let me hear from you in the comment section below. Then is the DA party, whose leader, John Steenhuisen, has mentioned that if push comes to shove, ladies and gentlemen, they will rather join forces with the incumbent government, which is the ANC, than to see the EFF win power. Yep, it appears it's not just the ruling government that is afraid of the EFF, but the main opposition party as well. This is how critical this year's elections is in South Africa. On the other hand, the president of South Africa last year signed into law the inclusion of independent candidates in running for national elections. Before last year, all interested persons had to be a member of a political party to run for office, whether national or provincial. But the law is now overturned. So as it stands now, 5 independent candidates will stand in the May elections. So they are Zach Ahmad in the Western Cape, Anele Mda in Gauteng, Lovemore Indo in Limpopo, Faith Patela in Limpopo, and Blessings Ramoba in Limpopo and in Gauteng. These independent candidates are standing for the National Assembly, which if, and I'm saying if, any should win, has the potential of taking seats from the ANC party. Zach Ahmad, for your information, used to work with the ANC party during the apartheid era. He is a known activist and a film director. Anele Imda is known to be a social and gender activist and one-time member of parliament in 2009. As an ANC member, at the time she was the youngest person in parliament. She was equally ousted from the party, the ANC party, like how they did to Julius Malema. Next is this man, Lovemore Indo, who was a boxer and he wasn't bad at all. He was one time the IBO welterweight champion in 2009 and 2010. And he has a dual citizenship. He was born in South Africa and he also holds Australian citizenship. I don't know much about his political affiliations and ideologies as at now. But if George Oppong became president of Liberia without any prior experience, political experience, then anything is possible, ladies and gentlemen. Anything is possible if you put your mind to it. So I will encourage him to go for it. Next is Faith Patela. And as her name is, so is her belief. She's a minister, a woman of God. I think it's Christ Ambassador Church or something like that. She wants to bring righteousness and servitude into the political arena in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. She has demonstrated that by way of championing the fight against HIV spread and helping people living with it. Maybe she has street credit for that. She stands for many upright policies, which I'll be honest with you. The establishment as it is right now in South Africa will see it as a threat to their livelihoods. But it's time to let the light shine in darkness. Finally is Blessings Ramoba. I have little to no knowledge of him. And to be honest, not much information is provided on the internet as well. I'm sure this contest will catapult his image eventually, and hopefully he makes an impact in subsequent elections. He's actually the youngest among the independent candidates at 35 years old, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is my take on the entire situation. Personally, I don't think President Ramaphosa needs to be changed. That is my personal opinion. He has faced a lot of economic challenges which he could have handled way better. I'm saying it. Take, for instance, the electricity situation in South Africa. I mean, this is South Africa. We are in the 21st century. South Africa. You have the coal, you have the energy conglomerates, you have access to experts both internally and externally, and you literally don't have any excuse. That's what I'm trying to say to him. It is purely mismanagement and a lack of proactiveness to provide the necessary expansions for more energy supplies. But that, as a matter of fact, was his first term in terms of whatever structures he was putting in place to permanently fix that problem. He can now show us his plans moving forward, and I think he needs to be allowed to continue into his second term. That's why I'm suggesting that people should keep him. Mind you, he has been a strategic player in the BRICS and has done well to help other African countries to eventually be a part of the BRICS group. So it's a choice of the South African people on how they will assess him, especially internally. When it comes to Julius Malema, I think you should know by now my stance already if you have watched any of my episodes of South Africa. First of all, I want him to become president of South Africa someday, including this year. I support his call for one Africa with no borders and one currency, one economy and one military as well. But I differ on lumping it all together as one country. I think our sovereign identities as countries should be maintained and respected. It's perfectly fine to have all the countries just as they are now without having to draw up one legal system or a presidential system, language, or constitutional system. That is my personal take. That's far-reaching for me, and it's not practical in the face of the thousands of ethnic groups and languages on this continent. But it was a pleasure when I saw and spoke briefly with him in person in Ghana earlier this year. So let's wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen. The stage is almost set to either catapult South Africa's politics onto a continental or international stage, a new era of radical leadership under Julius Malema and the EFF, or maintain the status quo under Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC party. This is what is on the ballot, and this is what people of South Africa will be voting for. Think deep and think straight before you make your decision. But whatever the case may be, we'll be here to see the next chapter of South Africa. God bless you for taking time to watch today's episode. Be kind to subscribe if you still haven't, and hit that like button. It actually helps us to reach more people, surprisingly. I'll come your way again soon, but until then, God bless you, and it's bye-bye for now.